Hello, everyone. Thank you for visiting us here at lanksports.com for the LL League Insider Weekly High School Football Preview Show. I am online editor Keith Schweigert. Alongside me, our gridiron guru here, Jeff Reinhart. And we're here to take you through last week's action, get you caught up with that, and get you ready for Week 3 of the LL League season. Jeff, we got 2 weeks in the books now. Some of the teams are starting to separate themselves a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about those results. What are the biggest surprises of the season so far?
2 positives, 2 negatives. I hate to talk negatives, but 2 surprise teams for me so far. Number 1, Penn Manor, without a doubt. Comets are 2-0. Great start for them. Not sure how many people saw that coming, but they're playing great. Great defensive effort last week. Beat LS 17-0, pitched a shutout. So Penn Manor being 2-0 is a nice story for me for sure. My other surprise team, quote unquote, probably Lebanon from Section 2. They're 2-0. Air Raid has been absolutely cranking the first 2 weeks. 39 points against Cedar Crest in a win, and then 38 points in a win against Spring Grove. James Capello, senior quarterback, has been outstanding as a dual threat. So Penn Manor and Lebanon being 2-0, pleasant surprises for sure. Hate to be negative, but I don't know how many people saw LS being 0-2. I know they lost a lot of good players from last year, but had a good nucleus back. LS being 0-2 surprises me for sure, coming off a shutout loss to Penn Manor. And Columbia being 0-2. The Tide had a couple of good skill kids coming back. But their defense has been raked over the coals here in the first 2 weeks. They're giving up a ton of yards, and Columbia's 0-2. So Columbia and LS 0-2, Penn Manor and Lebanon 2-0. Those are my surprises for the week.
Okay, and now we'll take some time to talk about some of the top performers from last week. We had a few big standouts, Jeff. Let's go through them each and tell me a little bit about what each one of them did.
Surely. We'll start off with the player of the week. Tyler Purvis from Lancaster Catholic, the third of 4 Purvis brothers coming through the Lancaster Catholic program. Huge game for Tyler. Breakout game. 10 catches, 207 yards, 3 touchdown catches, including a 96-yard touchdown. He also tossed a TD pass on a botched field goal. He was in to hold, low snap. He ended up picking up the scramble and throwing a touchdown pass. So huge game for Tyler. He was our player of the week. Pair of 200-yard rushing efforts last week. Eric Resch from Warwick continued his great start, 213 yards against CV. He's up to 412 rushing yards. He leads the league after 2 weeks. And Kyle Whitmer from Donegal, 221 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Indians. That was his coming out party. Kyle's replacing Blaine Miller, big shoes to fill at Donegal, and he ripped up against Eastern, 221 yards. Fruquan Gaston from Reading had 193 rushing yards, and Kyle Fisher continued his great start with 190 rushing yards. So some great individual rushing efforts already this year. Last kid I want to mention, Jarvis Cummings from Hempfield, just continued his incredible start. Passed for 145 and 2 touchdowns, and rushed for 180 and 2 touchdowns in Hempfield's win over Garden Spot. So those were probably my favorite performances from week 2.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be at the Hempfield Garden Spot game last week and got to see Jarvis Cummings personally. A real good dual threat for Hempfield. He has a real nice touch in the ball, strong arm, and boy, he runs that option really well. He's going to be a real tough guy to stop as Hempfield's offense gets its legs under new coordinator Mike Burke, the former Columbia head coach. Well, Jeff, now let's turn our attention here to Week 3. It's the final week of the non-league season. After this, everybody's going to be concentrating on their respective section races. We get an early start at it this week. Tonight, we have a special Thursday night football game. We have undefeated Cocalico going up to Anvil to take on Anvil-Cleona. Jeff, you're going to be blogging live from this one tonight.
I will be blogging live from Anvil.
Tell me about it. Tell me what your thoughts on the game are.
It's an interesting game, first of all, because it's Thursday. Don't see too many Thursday games, but it all ties in if you follow with me. Anvil-Cleona, refurbished stadium. They're back home after 2 years on the road. Wanted to do something different just for being back home. Coach Terry Lehman was a position coach at Anvil when Cocalico coach Dave Gingrich played for Anvil. So those guys go way back, teacher-pupil kind of a deal. So when they got this game on the schedule for a non-league, a 2-year deal, Coach Lehman approached Coach Gingrich and said, hey, let's do something different. We have a new stadium. We're thrilled to be home. We're home. Let's do something fun. So they hatched out a plan and came up with a Thursday game. So this game will be Thursday night. So should be fun. Should be a different atmosphere. Should be a packed house. I'm quite sure there'll be a lot of people there scouting for sure, since that's the only game in town. Keep an eye on Kyle Fisher for sure, the Cocalico running back. 190 yards last week against Exeter. Cocalico leads the LL League in rushing offense through 2 weeks. Austin Hartman, fullback, really came into his own last week, 165 yards rushing against Exeter. Anvil coming off a loss, 21-14 to Hamburg, but they did win in week 1, so there is some momentum there. And they're at home, and they won their home opener against Palmyra. So a fun game, teacher versus pupil, Thursday night, something different. I will be there vlogging live, so make sure you tune in if you can't get to Anvil.
And who are you going to be picking in that one, Jeff?
We'll stick with Cocalico. They're flying pretty high, horrible pun, but they're 2-0. I like them to go 3-0 here. Fisher's a handful.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to have to take Cocalico on that one as well. And now we turn our attention to Friday night, and there's a game on the docket here that you may have already heard a thing or two about if you've been following football at all since the preseason. We have the top showdown, Lancaster Catholic going up against Mannheim Central. This is one that when it was announced they were going to be playing last year already, there was a lot of excitement about it. Now both teams are coming into this one 1-1. It's going to be a big game. I'm going to be blogging live from that one on Friday night, so I know I'm looking forward to it. Jeff, your thoughts on this one?
Great game, and I've been over to both practices this week, and it's funny because I was talking to some of the Lancaster Catholic kids, and the first thing they said to me right away was, yeah, this is the LL Super Bowl, because we really hyped this up, our football preview this year. We put right on the front, LL Super Bowl, Catholic versus Mannheim Central. Should be a fabulous game on turf, should be a great atmosphere, packed house. I'm sure they're already lining up to get their seats and to put their blankets down. Both teams are 1-1. Catholic coming off a pretty good win over Ephrata, picked up speed a little bit, 44 points. Threw the ball around quite well. Kyle Smith, 4 touchdown passes, and Tyler Purvis, as mentioned, great game at wideout. Mannheim, awesome game against Wilson. Lost 20-15, but did a lot of things. Moved the ball. Their passing attack looks great. Do want to mention 2 injuries, unfortunately, for this game. Travis Ebersol from Mannheim Central is going to miss some time. He's on crutches. He's got a knee. He's going to have some kind of exploratory surgery here in the next week or so. If it's just a small ligament thing, he could come back this year. That's a tough loss for Central for sure. Travis Jankowski, Lancaster Catholics, wide out, D-back du jour, super athlete. Did not play last week against Ephrata. He got dinged up a little bit in the Trinity game, so he's sort of a day-to-day, as it were. So we'll see how that goes. But phenomenal game, great game for the county. Should be packed, should be an awesome atmosphere. I'm jealous because I won't be there.
And Jeff, you've come to be known as Mr. Mannheim over the years for all the Mannheim Central games you've covered. Who are you going to be picking in this one?
I'm leaning towards Central. I like them at home. I like them on turf. And I love their defensive ends, who I think will be key in this game. Joe Gruber and especially Dakota Royer. I think those guys can get some pressure on Smith. If they can keep the pressure on Smith, I think Central wins.
Yeah, we had to get our picks in early this week because of the Thursday night game with Cocalico and Anvil, and that's probably a good thing because it forced me to make a decision. I've been going back and forth on this one for quite a bit. I think I'm also going to have to lean towards Central just because it's at home. It's on turf, which actually could be a kind of a split advantage for both teams since they both are pretty fast. But I just think a big game at home in Mannheim, that's going to be a little bit too tall of an order for Lancaster Catholic, although I agree it's going to be a great game. I'm really looking forward to being there. And Jeff, the game you're going to be blogging live from on Friday night is Mannheim Township at Elizabethtown. What do you think about this one?
Interesting rematch here. This is the game last year. The Township led 10-0 at half at their place. E-Town came out in the second half, got a blocked punt, got things rolling, scored 20 unanswered, and E-Town beat Township at Township 20-10 last year. Township phased them for about a night because then they won 7 in a row, won the section title, so it didn't phase them too much. It also kick-started E-Town's great start. They got off to the 9-0 start and shared the section title. So rematch, payback, revenge, call it what you want. Both teams, and this is the interesting note on this game, both teams coming off overtime losses in week 2. And I don't know if that's ever happened where a team that met the one week both lost in overtime the week before, but both lost in funky fashion. Township lost 3-0, 0-0 deadlock through 4 quarters. Red Lion kicked a field goal. Township had a chance to tie it with a field goal, and it got blocked. E-Town played Muhlenberg. That game also went to OT. Muhlenberg scored first. E-Town scored and went for 2 on their first possession to try to win it and didn't get in. So they lost that game 28-27. So 2 teams coming in off weird, funky OT losses, which is very strange. A lot of new personnel, but a lot of the same, a lot of the same schemes. We're going to see Razorback for Township. We're going to see Dan Wirtz. We're going to see a lot of Nick Sizemore. For E-Town, we're going to see a lot of Shane Rosenberry and a lot of Conrad Heisey, and Kyle McNeil, their senior quarterback, is the top-ranked passer in the league coming into Week 3. So, fun game, smash-mouth game. This could be low-scoring. This could be a defensive-oriented kind of a game, but a really nice game and a good rematch from last year. I'm looking forward to my trip to E-Town on Friday.
And who are you picking?
I picked E-Town. I just like the way they're going, and I know they lost to Muhlenberg, but I like that they've been smash mouth despite losing 21 seniors from last year. I like the way they're going. I think they'll find a way somehow to slow down Razorback. I'll take the Bears. I'm
going to go with Manheim Township, actually. I think getting shut out by Red Lion last week, I can't imagine that Coach Mike Melnick's going to allow that to happen 2 weeks in a row. I'm sure he's been working on the offense quite a bit this week. And I think both teams are building good programs there. I like what Melnick's doing at Township. I think it carries through this week. And the final one of our spotlight games, this one is a rivalry game. It's going to be Warwick up against Ephrata. Jeff?
The backyard scrap of all backyard scraps in the county. I like this game because it's a trophy game, and there's just not many trophy games around in high school. Just off the top of my head, the only other one that I thought of right away was Reading playing in the lump of coal trophy game against Pottsville. But as far as Lancaster County goes, Ephrata and Warwick have been going at it for years. This is the George Mail trophy game. George Mail was a football coach back in the day at Ephrata and Warwick, so they named this game after him, named this trophy after him. His son still comes every year and presents the trophy after the game to the winner. Warwick has won the last 2, so the Warriors will be going for 3 in a row this year. The game's over at Ephrata. Ephrata struggling, 0-2. Catholic held them to -5 rushing yards last week, so Ephrata's looking to pick up the pace a little bit. They've been outscored 97-7 in their first 2 games. Warwick feeling good, feeling better. Lost the Garden Spot in week 1, but really snapped back last week. Beat CV 35-0. Resch with a big night. So, hey, you throw out all the records, though, in a game like this. It's a backyard clash. There's a trophy up for grabs. So I think Ephrata will definitely be fired up. They want to get a win. They want to move the ball. They want to score. And all you have to do, for the Ephrata kids to say, hey, we're playing Warwick. It's for the George Mail Trophy, so they should absolutely be jacked to play this game, I would hope.
Yeah. Your pick?
I like Warwick. I just like the way they're going. Their 5 new offensive linemen are gelling, from what I've heard. I talked to Coach Locker this week. And Eric Resch is just a handful. He's durable. He's your LL leading rusher. He's got 5 touchdowns already. He's tough to stop. So I'll go Warriors here for 3 in a row for the George Mail.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I think Warwick's looking really good. Ephrata has struggled, and I think those struggles are going to continue this week. Okay, let's move on to the rapid fire portion of our
favorite part.
Our preview show. We have the rest of the games on the docket here. We have 17 games in all this week. We'll start off with the undefeated Comets. Penn Manor going up against Ephrata. Jeff?
My favorite stat on Penn Manor, they're giving up 129 yards a game through 2 games. That's number 1 in the league. I think their defense shines again. Comets go to 3-0.
Yes, Coach Todd Mealy doing some good things at Penn Manor. I'm picking them as well. Second one is Hempfield and Carlisle. Jeff?
Hempfield offense is great. Jarvis Cummings, as mentioned. Carlisle's 1-1, but I love the way that Hempfield's playing right now. I'll take the Knights.
Hempfield is calling this one a big game this week. They want to get through a mid-Penn team, even if it's a average, middle-of-the-road type mid-Penn team. I'm going Hempfield as well. Conestoga Valley at Cedar Crest.
This was CV's lone win last year. CV went 1-9, and it was over Cedar Crest. Cedar Crest played pretty well last week against Conrad Weiser, only lost by a touchdown late. I'll take the Falcons at home.
Make that two of us. I'm going Falcons as well. And now we have Garden Spot at Lampeter Strasburg.
Still can't believe LS is 0-2. I can't. Garden Spot playing well. Kyle Kelly, 9 catches, 201 yards, 3 touchdowns already. Sorry, I think LS bounces back. This is the week where the Pioneers figure it out.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I'm going to go Garden Spot. I came away from that game pretty impressed with how they move the ball on offense. They have some defensive issues. They've been gouged now for 2 weeks in a row. But if they can tighten that up, I think they can take this game. Coatesville at McCaskey, speaking of struggling teams.
Wow, McCaskey's been outscored 110-27 in 2 games. They are flat out struggling. Coatesville's big and mean as usual. This is a nice rivalry. Coatesville's won 4 in a row in this rivalry, and I think Coatesville makes it 5.
I agree, but it's going to be a long year at McCaskey if they don't start turning things around on defense. Columbia at Daniel Boone.
Daniel Boone's 2-0, and they have 933 yards of total offense. Their quarterback, John Montero, leads Berks County in passing. He passed for a school record 360 yards last week.
Yikes.
Columbia's defense is not good. They've given up over 600 yards rushing in 2 games. I'll take the Blazers in Birdsboro.
If Columbia doesn't improve that defense quickly, Daniel Boone might get 900 yards against them on Friday night the way they're going. I'm going Daniel Boone as well. Solanco at Oxford.
Solanco won the Monday game this week, don't forget. So they have a bit of a short week. Oxford is 0-2. I like Solanco in a short week to snap back quickly and win 2 in a row. Take the Mules.
Yeah, it's tough to prepare for a game in just 2 or 3 days, but I got to go Solanco as well. I think they have enough to take on Oxford there. Donegal at Interboro.
Interboro is 0-2. They play in the Delaware Valley League, District 1. They've won 5 league titles in a row, so don't overlook that. But I like Donegal. I think they picked up speed after their shutout in Week 1. Came back, scored 36 points. Kyle Whitmer, hello world. I'll take Donegal.
Yeah, I like the way they bounced back last week as well. I'm going Donegal too. Elko at Lebanon.
Bologna Bowl. Love the Bologna Bowl. Elko's actually swept this series so far. They won the first 2, but Lebanon is just flying high on offense right now with Capello. Cedars go to 3-0. How about that?
Yeah, I think they have too many weapons on offense for Elko to contain. I'm going with the Cedars as well. Now we have Reading at Governor Mifflin.
Good Berks County rival scrap kind of a game. Both teams coming off wins. I think Mifflin has too many weapons here. Reading's feeling good coming off a win with Gaston, 193 yards. But I like Mifflin at home. I'll take the Stangs.
Yeah, I think Reading won the aforementioned Anthracite Bowl last week over Pottsville. That's up near my hometown, but I think that was more of a fluke than anything else. I got to think they're going to revert to form here. Governor Mifflin wins. And finally, Wilson at Downingtown East.
Saw the Bulldogs last week. They looked really good against Central. Defense bent but didn't break. Stopped Central late when they had to. Downingtown East is struggling. They have a million injuries. They're playing a sophomore quarterback. Bulldogs go to 3-0.
Mark me down for the Bulldogs as well. Well, that's all for this week, fans. Thank you again for joining us. Don't forget, if you can't make it out to the games this week, we have you covered here at lanksports.com. We'll be blogging live from 3 games this week. Jeff at the Cocalico-Anvil-Cleona game tonight. And on Friday night, I'll be doing the Manheim Central Lancaster Catholic game. Jeff will be at the Manheim Township E-Town game. And as always, we'll be providing you live scoring updates from games as they're in progress. We'll have the first final scores for all the LL League teams up on our site before anybody else in the county gets them. And we'll have you covered when it comes to football. We're the place to be. So thank you again for stopping by, and we'll see you again next week.